Welcome to Nitpicking Nerds and another Commander tier list.
This time around, we're looking at the mechanics of Commander.
I'm your host, Joe Cherries, and I'm petting Amber now.
I'm your host, BZ, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds, bringing you daily Magic content with a cat. If you want to support all that hotness, you go to the description, and patreon.com is the link for you.
Yes, and if you want to support birthdays, well, happy birthday. You don't have to support birthdays at all. Just wanted to say happy birthday to everyone whose birthday is today. Another way to support this channel would be the TCG Player affiliate link in the description below. Go there, click that link, and now you're on the website. Doesn't matter what you do from there. As long as you buy Magic cards, you've now supported the Nitpicking Nerds.
And another way to do that is dragonshield.com. They have the best sleeves in the multiverse.
Good sleeves.
And we have links for you so that when you go there from the description and you check out and you buy stuff, sleeves, playmats, whatever, we get a kickback, so it's like tipping us in a little imaginary tip jar. So this time around for our tier list, we're going to be talking about the mechanics of Commander, so like keywords and all these different abilities and aspects of the format, and we're going to talk about how positive or negative they are for the format. That's what poop tier, all the way down here with negative stuff, and S tier, just the coolest, best ones.
Yeah, so what we did is we picked the mechanics that you see the most in Commander, for starters, our Commander exclusive, or scale with, multiplayer. And they all are, you're going to see these in Commander games sometimes, and that's how we chose which ones to do.
However, we are way too big to be communicating this information, so we got to do our shrinky move.
Yes, it's called the Shrinky Dink move. And Amber, would you like to join us?
All right, we got the signature Nitpicking Nerds janky computer, and we got to move to the first mechanic, cycling, which lets you discard a card in your hand to get an effect, which is also mostly just draw a card.
It's usually the main cycling you're going to see is draw a card, but there's also basic land cycling, plane cycling for a certain type. There's even wizard cycling and sliver cycling if you really care about that. They're all pretty cool. They let you take cards that aren't good in certain situations and just throw them away. I think it just improves gameplay overall because I think an example of these that you're going to see the most often is Triumphs. You draw a Triumph super late game, you don't want to land. Pitch it, pay to 3, and get a new card. I think this mechanic is great. I think it's a B. Yeah. I don't think it's like insane or broken, but it's good.
If every card in your deck had cycling, you would never get mana screwed. You'd never have any of these problems because it just smooths out your draws super well. Who's ever been offended at a cycling card?
Yeah, though I do think it would be problematic if every card in Magic had cycling.
Well, yeah, I mean, try playing Arena like that. We're just talking about like from a gameplay, you would never have problems. Next is Deathtouch, which means if a creature would deal any amount of damage to any creature, it's enough to destroy it.
Yeah, Deathtouch is just kind of existent. It doesn't push the needle for me either way. It's not good. It's not bad. It just exists, and it's part of Commander, and it's helpful sometimes. Like, it's nice that Gonti, if you play a Gonti, it has Deathtouch. Is it pushing you to play that? No. Gonti would see equal amounts of play as it does now if it didn't, but when something has Deathtouch, it's a nice little bonus. I think this is a C, middle of the road.
Yeah, it's a pure bonus card. I think people overhype Deathtouch a little too much. Even if we're talking about metas where combat matters a lot, I think it's just completely middle of the road. Yes, Baleful Strix is better with Deathtouch. Still good without Deathtouch.
Yeah.
Like, none of these cards really need Deathtouch unless you're going to start pinging things, but that's its own deck.
Yeah, exactly. There are Deathtouch based decks, like you said, where you can do cool things with that, but most of the time it's just whatever. It's perfect. Like C is going to be, if you don't know, it's not good. It's not bad for Commander. It's just in the middle. It's just there's nothing wrong with having this mechanic in Commander.
Yeah, no one's like, oh, my creature deck needs more Deathtouch cards, and that's not a thing.
I will say, I don't know about Deathtouch specifically, but I've seen the comments from like, especially newer players, where it's like they pick a mechanic and they're like, I hate X mechanic. It is very common.
I hate flying.
It's so weird. It's always so weird to me. It's like it's so bizarre.
Next, Demonstrate. This is not as normal as the first two. Demonstrate is that when you cast the spell, you can choose an opponent to copy the spell, and then you get another copy. So you have 2 copies after their 1 copy resolves. And there's only 5 cards with Demonstrate, but I'd love to see more.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think this is a very good mechanic for the Commander format. It plays very well with the multiplayer aspect of the game, and the cards can be strong because if you want to do the effect twice and make the card super strong, you have to let your opponent do it. I think all these cards add to the game and are just really good. I think this is like A or S. What do you think?
I would give it A. I think almost all of the 5 that we have examples of are pretty sweet. I really like the blue one. The black one's just a really great card. And I also like the white one. I'm sure the other 2, they're not unplayable. So this is going to go right into the old A tier.
Yeah, hope we see demonstrate again in a future Commander set.
Yeah, let's go to Double Strike, one of the more fun combat-related keywords. It's going to be just means your creature deals first strike damage and regular damage. This is especially potent on commanders because it means basically you can give any commander double strike and it now means commander damage is on the table.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I think this just kind of falls into C for me, where it's another one that it's really strong, it's powerful, but it's not adding or detracting from commander in any way. It's not going to make a game of commander better that something has double strike, but it's not going to make a game worse.
I would give it B because I think it pushes cards to that actually does push certain cards to playability versus not. Like, it's hard to deal 21 commander damage, but if any legendary creature has double strike, you only have to deal 12.
I think, yeah, the funny thing about like double strike is often they do the lazy thing and they just cut its power in half.
Oh, I'm so sick of that. They did it with
Ketra,
God Eternal Ketra, and they also did it with
Zatulpa.
It's just like, stop doing that. That's stupid.
It's so transparent when they do it.
Like, yeah, the creature's better with double strike, but like, give me something. Make it interesting to look at.
I'm fine with a low B. A low B. Like,
low B.
So heading towards C, but yeah, low B. What's
okay,
next?
Eminence. This is the commander exclusive mechanic that says you don't have to cast your commander. Now, I'm not sure why that would even be in the discussion for something that needs to exist. But if we have 6 cards with Eminence, I'm basically counting Allura with the original.
Yeah, this is poop. This is literal
poop. This is classic poop tier.
This is garbage design. I don't know what they were thinking. You don't have to play your commander from the command zone to get an effect. No, thank you. That's just not.
It's unstoppable.
It's unstoppable effect, and the effects are. It doesn't matter how small the effect is. You just always get this thing. Like Allura is 2 life. That's like nothing. But when it triggers every single turn for free,
you just start at 60.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous.
I don't get it. I mean, none of the cards are bad. They make commander decks better, but I don't think they make the commander format better.
It definitely makes the commander format worse. It's a terrible, terrible design space.
Yeah, we'll never tell anybody not to play any of these cards. It's just how good of a design is this? I mean, it's already out in there. It's already out in the format. You can play whatever you want. Seriously, never going to tell anyone not to do that. But the design itself on paper just is like, what are you doing?
Oh, yeah. I actually think some of these cards play really fun and in some decently fun ways. It's just the design is very, very poor. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, not healthy to keep. Like, you can't keep printing Eminence cards.
Yeah, you can't because it changes the commander format in a way that's I don't think is healthy because you just end up with more commanders that just sit in the command zone all game.
The whole point is that you're rumbling with your commanders. They're doing stuff, but not. All right. Anyway, Encore. Creatures with Encore in the graveyard, you can exile them from a cost, and then for each opponent, no matter how many opponents you have, you get a creature that has to attack that's a copy, and then they all go away at the end step.
So I think we didn't get a ton of great Encore cards, but I do think Encore is a great ability for Commander. It scales with the multiplayer aspect in a really cool and unique way. So if something has an ETB, like the best Encore card that we have right now, Amph Mutineer, you get 3 of those. It doesn't matter that you get to attack because you get to do it 3 times. This is a really cool design, and it scales down as players get knocked out of the game. I think it's perfect for commanders. This is like, I think this is S tier. This is a great design. I don't think we got enough good cards with it yet, but I think you can keep using this over and over again because it's so well designed.
I don't know. We still got a few ones that stand out, and they outshine some other cards. Anyway,
shiny and standing.
Impulsive Pilfer is a sweet one. That's just a common. And then Coastline Marauders, it's also a good card. There's a couple of like Flatten Fleet Swordjack.
Arami is a great commander in herself. And because she gives things Encore. I mean, Encore is something I don't mind them going back to a bunch more times. I really do like it. And I hope that we do see it again because it did make the Commander Legends format. It was one of the things that made it so fun.
Yeah, it helped you scale commons to actually matter in a board with 1,000 things on it. So let's go to Extort. Extort is reminder text that you can pay black or white whenever you cast a spell to have each opponent lose 1, and you gain life equal to the life lost this way. So if you have infinite opponents, you will gain infinite life.
So I think Extort is actually a very good mechanic for the format. It makes games move forward. It's a mana sink, and it just lets you use your mana in different ways. sadly, we're not seeing it anymore. And
we don't get any more. Where's the set booster extort cards?
Yeah, I would like to see it again. I think this is like, I think, I can see the annoyance. It is a lot of life gain, and there is annoying things to the extort ability, but I think it is an awesome design, and they weren't designing for Commander back then.
Mm-mm.
They weren't, but they hit a home run by accident, and I want to see this. I like when you can gain a ton of life and you can do these little things. I love extort personally.
Lets you spend extra mana, lets the game progress. It's just, this is a mechanic where, this does tip the needle on like Blind Obedience. It has extort. Well, I'm going to play it in my deck because it actually affects life totals, keeps me alive for longer, especially in slower games. And even in faster games, the tapped part starts to matter more, where it's like, all right, you just don't get to have haste or your mana rocks.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan, but big fan of extort. I hope that in the near future we do see more, though I don't foresee it.
Yeah, there's really just like Cryptghast and Blind Obedience, but I think there's
Pontiff of Blight.
Pontiff of Blight is good. Those are like the three. I think if you want another one, there's the Thrall, where it's just a 1-mana 1/1. Who cares what it does? Has extort.
Yeah, that one's also pretty good. There's also the 2/1 Lifelink. If you're in like a life gain deck that has extort, that's not too bad either.
It does. It is. Let's go to Flashback /Jumpstart /Aftermath. You know what this is. It's just everything that says you can cast a spell twice, once from your hand and once from the graveyard.
Every single one of these is really cool. I think this is, again, awesome design for Commander in that it lets you mill over it, use things twice, and it makes sure you're not running out of resources. I think something we haven't stated up to this point, but is very important, is in Commander, you want all the players to continue playing, even if they have a bad draw.
Mm-hmm.
And cards like this allow that by giving you things to do out of your graveyard. So if I use my card to draw 2, and then I start drawing bad late game, now I have another thing in my graveyard to draw 2 again. I think it's a great effect. It's probably a solid A tier.
I think there's also just infinite ways to meddle with all the costs. Like Flashback, you can really mess around with what's the mana cost and what's the flashback cost. Are they both the same? Are you going to make one cheaper and one less expensive? Do you want to mill it? And then with Jumpstart, it's like, okay, we can make the spell better because you have to discard a card to cast it again. And then Aftermath is just 2 different spells, and that's sweet.
Yeah, and there's lots of cool things you can do with it. There's also, if you flash this card back, something different happens sometimes.
Yeah.
That's also something you can do. I absolutely love it. I'm in for A. What are you in for?
I'm in for a solid A, even above Demonstrate.
Completely fair.
Flying, that keyword that you see sometimes, creatures with flying. I think flying is necessary evasion. Some people hate flying, but it's mostly the newer players. They're like, why can't I block their bird?
Yeah, so for flying, it's interesting. I think it's slightly positive. It allows for combat damage to get through it. It advances the game and it keeps it going. If there was nothing like flying, you'd end up in way too many board stalls, and Commander you would only want to play combos. You wouldn't want to play anything else, because how are you going to punch through anything if it's always on the ground, it's always on the board, no one's ever going over anyone? Flying just adds an aspect that lets you get by players.
Yeah, it's going to be low B. How about Goad? What is that?
Goad means that you target a creature, and during your opponent's next turn, it has to attack a player, but it cannot be you. So it has to attack one of your opponents. I really love this mechanic. This is another S tier. They don't have a ton of really insane ones or broken ones, but I think it's just a great mechanic. It forces interaction. It forces the game to move forward.
That's
so when
true.
you end up especially in our, I bet you Goad is insane in our slower meta now, where it's Disruptives is Quorum that goads everything, right?
Yeah, the Wrath of God for goats.
Yeah, it goads everything. That card might just be insane in what we're playing now in our slower meta, because, oh my God, the boards get clogged. Now everyone's got to attack. Oh, but they can't attack me. That's real strong.
Yeah, and I also like that once you're 1v1, they just have to attack you. So you can even use that to your advantage. And I think something it's like Geode Rager, where any effect that's goad all creatures target player controls. I think that's the most brutal form of this, because it's okay, go to your turn, attack my opponents, tap yourself completely out of blockers, and now you're going to get smashed by 3 people in a row and lose.
Oh, so rough. Goad is really strong, and it's a mechanic I haven't explored very much, and I really do want to explore it more by testing some more of the cards out, because it is both a great design, and I think it's just strong in any combat-based meta.
Haste. Creatures don't have summoning sickness. They can do a thing or an ability or attack right away. That's pretty important, actually. A lot of people are jamming Lightning Greaves, Swiftfoot Boots into their deck, partially because of the other half, which we'll get to, but partially because we need haste. We need to get we need to skip the entire turn of waiting because waiting a turn with 3 opponents is way worse than waiting a turn with 1 opponent.
Yeah, and I think Haste adds to the game. It reminds me, it's kind of like flying. It's not, it's almost toward that C where it's like, yeah, it's not really anything that we're like, yeah, I really want to see this, but it is a positive overall because it lets you do so many different things and do things faster and in better ways. Haste is a nice card. Also, I like that you chose Urbrask for this. Great choice.
Haste Tribal. I think if all your creatures had Haste and none of your opponent's creatures had Haste, you would have a huge advantage.
Yes, if you had an emblem of an Urbrask emblem, it's actually completely bonkers how much you would be ahead of your opponents.
A lot of those Haste enablers, Yavimaya, Fires of Yavimaya, Hammer Perforos, all that stuff is just premium.
Even, Invigorating Hot Spring is another one. They're all just very good.
Time for Hexproof and Shroud, some of the most hated mechanics they've ever made. Definitely some of the worst limited mechanics, but how about Commander? And also, what do they do?
I think they're some of the worst mechanics, period, for any format ever. Hexproof and Shroud say they can't be targeted. Hexproof specifically by your opponent's spells and abilities, and Shroud is everything, meaning you can't target it. This is not fun. This is not. It definitely removes from the game. And yeah, I get it. You want to protect your creature and you want to do good things, and it's not too bad in small doses, but once in a while, something real annoying ends up with Hexproof, and it's like, wow, interaction and tension makes Commander so much better. It makes every format so much better. When there's tension, what's going to happen, how do I make my plays, and there's thought that goes into things. You remove that with Hexproof, because when I get to my turn, unless you're holding up 7 mana for a Cyclonic Rift, I know that my creature that's sitting right here is not going away, and I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, less Hexproof, please. Do you want to put this in D, or are you thinking poop?
No, D. I don't think it's poop, because I do, like I said, in small doses, the Hexproof can be used well. If you take a creature that's not that strong, but can maybe grow into something, it can be used in good ways in design. It just often isn't. I think, even though I love Slippery Bogmonder beyond belief, love that card, it is really troublesome when it
prevents interaction.
It prevents interaction. You just don't want to be doing that from a design standpoint specifically. Now for strength, it's real strong.
Give your things Hexproof. Yeah, Eminence is not even once, and Hexproof is not too often, please. I'm going to get sick of it real quick.
Exactly.
Indestructible, another mechanic the newer players have a hard time with because it's well, I can't do anything to it. But Indestructible, not nearly as permanent as it sounds for the creature remaining in play. Just means lethal damage and effects that say specifically destroy. Don't destroy it.
Yeah, I actually like Indestructible.
Yeah.
Because it does get around certain forms of removal, but not all removal. And there's actually a lot that does get around this. I think this is like a B. This lets you make a card a little stronger, a little tougher, and harder to remove, but it's still interactable. You can still get rid of it. When you compare this to Hexproof, it's really, really hard to interact with Hexproof. It gets rid of all spot removal.
Yeah.
This gets rid of some board wipes, some spot removal, but not all. And that is so much better than Hexproof in my opinion.
Yeah, your creature is definitely more resilient and harder to kill with Indestructible, but not impossible. There's plenty of ways around it. Let's go to Infect. This might be the most hated one in Commander. It's 10 poison damage, you're dead. And every Infect damage is 1 poison. So if I hit you with a 3/3 with Infect, you're 33% dead.
This one is interesting to me. It's very interesting. There's a lot about Infect that you can look at. It is a way to kind of cheese somebody, per se, where you can kind of knock them out of the game with this other way, even if they're at 2,000 life. And people don't like it, but it doesn't happen often. And I really don't see it as, personally, that problematic, even though it's not that good for Commander. What do you think?
Here's where I have it. This is perfect D. Because it's totally fine in small doses, but they can't keep printing creatures with Infect. Because then games just start going out of hand and ending on turn 4 because you just take one person out really easily. Right now, I think it's just at this perfect little, it's like an aggro deck. It's coming out of the gates quick. It's trying to get one person dead, and then it's trying to maybe proliferate in the late game and take everybody else out. I have no problem with that, but we don't need more Infect cards.
Yeah, if we got a lot more Infect cards, the format starts to get worse and worse. Yeah, I think that is a very fair way to look at it.
Especially pushed the way cards have been now.
Yeah.
Where it's oh yeah, let's get the Arcane Signet of Infect cards, please.
Yikes.
All right, Amber's here, and we're just going to let her walk around because we're tiny enough. Let's go to Landfall. Whenever a land enters, you get a thing. This matters in every single game all the time because everyone's playing lands.
Yeah, Landfall is cool, and it is a nice little effect, and some decks do it well, some decks do it terribly by only playing one land a turn. I think this is the C. It's This isn't harmful in any way to Commander, but it's not making Commander necessarily better. It's just, it is a fine mechanic that I am happy to see as much of it as they want to print, or as little of it as they want to print, honestly.
Right. It's just nice for some decks to have. It works really well with fetch lands, which
it's an archetype too. It is cool that it's its own archetype. Yeah. Like, that's a well-designed mechanic where you can have an archetype all around that mechanic.
Yeah, I see that with cycling. They're starting to do it with flying and all this different stuff. Lifelink. Now, if you are a combo meta, Lifelink is basically flavor text. But if you are a tax meta, you really are interested in lifelink creatures.
Lifelink says when this creature deals any kind of damage, you gain that much life. Totally good in your combat metas. It's interesting because back when we played a lot more combo heavy, like half the games were going to end in combos at least. Back then, it was like somebody said to me, "I want life gain in all my decks," and I was like, "What? Why would you want life gain in all your decks?" And then we're slowing down. It's like, oh, I want life gain in all my decks.
I'm going to end up in 20, and when I'm at 20, I'm actually halfway dead.
Yeah, exactly. So it's actually really interesting. I think lifelink adds to the game. It's a really cool ability to give your creatures. It makes it a bigger threat, but it doesn't make it harder to remove. It's like, oh man, you gave, say, like your Skullbriar. It's like when you give it lifelink, it's like, holy crap, we have to keep Skullbriar off the field because that thing is going to win this game for him.
Absolutely. I just think this is an easy B.
I agree.
Right below flying.
Yeah, positive, but not insanely positive.
Magecraft is a recent one from Strixhaven, and this just says whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, bleh, you get something. Archmage Emeritus is draw a card. Stormkill Artist is make a treasure, and these have a lot of potential for shenanigans, but they're really cool.
Yeah, the Magecraft, I think, is exactly like Landfall. If some decks really want it, and it's really good, and it's designed well for those decks, and other decks don't. And that's just fine. And it falls into the C range, where it's, again, not improving the Commander necessarily, but it's not taking away in any way, meaning I would be fine, just like Landfall. You want to make a whole set around Magecraft again, just like they did? Do it again. I have no problem with that. That is a great design.
Special negative shout out to the poorly designed card Fury Storm, which lets you copy it for every time you've cast your commander. The fact that that card can just copy itself infinitely, giving you infinite Magecraft triggers, is just like dumb. That was probably an oversight.
Fury Storm, if I was the rules committee, I would ban it because it is not. It is, they made a design mistake. I would just get rid of it. Just get it out of the format. It's designed really, really poorly.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't need all the payoffs right now to just make it a one-card win, but it's just like they messed up with that one. Monarch is probably my favorite mechanic ever. This makes Commander games just more fun, like objectively. Forces trades, forces deals, forces interaction, gives extra cards to everybody so everyone's playing more of the game. I love every single bit of this.
A lot of people talk about adding this to every single game. I don't like it in every game of Commander. I like it in a lot of games of Commander. I like it when it's introduced. I like when a card is played to put it in the game. I wouldn't want it introduced like in the middle and then the first person to deal combat damage gets it.
Well, I want to try that.
I'm not sure. I want cards that add it. Like, I love Queen Marchesa. Play a court. Play any card that says you become the Monarch. Now let's start playing that game. We see Ember surprisingly strong in the combat meta.
Ember
Wild Captain. Just, oh my goodness. Like, I have 7 cards in my hand. I don't want to be attacking you to get the Monarchy. I really do think this is an S tier mechanic. It's probably the S tier. It's probably the highest. It is awesome, and I love that it's on so many cards. I actually wouldn't mind seeing it on more cards. I love the game of keeping the Monarch. Like, Marchesa's okay, but she wants you to lose the Monarch to get the advantage.
She wants you to do the, hey, hit me for 1, and I'll hit you for 1. She wants that.
I like courts. Like, courts are a great design.
I want a 4/4.
You want to hold on to that, and it gives you a big buff. Like, you get a 4/4 or a 1/1, or you have to do this thing twice, or mill an extra ton of cards. Like, all of them are super awesome. Those are great designs, and Monarch it makes Commander games better almost every single time.
Yeah, I think Monarch has had a substantial percentage increase of how enjoyable Commander is.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Let's go to Myriad. Not printed very much, but I'd like to see more. It's when the creature with Myriad attacks, you clone it for each opponent. It's basically just onboard Encore. So yeah. How much worse could it be?
Yeah, it's extremely similar to Encore. Myriad just doesn't have very many good cards, which is why you don't see it often, which is a little sad because I think this is another great mechanic. And honestly, I would love to see this in something like the new Commander Legends set coming up. Mm-hmm. I think it would be a great limited mechanic for that format. I think this is an easy S. This is a great design. I just think that we haven't got enough good cards that do it well. And because of that, we're sitting here like, oh, come on, give us some good ones. Give us some good Myriad cards.
Yeah, they didn't push them quite hard enough. I think maybe the best one is the red one because they have Haste, which I guess goes to Haste being awesome. But they're all like vanilla creatures. It's really weird. Sarah Angel is not something I want to Myriad.
Yeah,
but Blade of Selves gives me a lot of ideas.
The closest one is like Brood Viper, but it was overcosted. I think they were just very cautious with it. They went, okay, we got to be careful. It's like 5 mana, 3/3. It's like, give me something a little more. Give it Deathtouch. That's what it should have, because it should have been the design like the Oran Viper and
Blue Deathtouch?
Oran Frostfang. Fine. I don't care. But the card should have been green, to be fair. But then we can just do an Oran Frostfang.
They could have done that green, yeah.
And then it's like, give it Deathtouch. Now this card is way better designed, and it's going to actually draw me cards.
Heck yeah. Partner with. This is only on 2 legends together. So like Pure Imaginative Rascal says, partner with Toothy. Toothy says partner with Pure, and that means you can play both of them as your commanders, plural, only if exactly them are your commanders. Now, I think this mechanic is awesome and flavorful.
It is a home run. Partner with works perfectly. They are a team. They are 2 people or 2 things, an animal, a pet to somebody. They work together like Handon and Paco. They literally, what is his name?
Halden
And Paco. It's his dog.
Yeah.
That is perfect flavor. And on top of being perfect flavor, on top of all that, it's an S tier mechanic because the cards are designed and balanced to work with each other. I absolutely love Partner With. I think it works perfectly. This is how you should get 2 commanders. When they go together, that's when you play them together.
Yeah, and then we can just segue right into Partner. Maybe this is our most controversial take. Also, this is one of the worst commander mechanics they've ever done.
It's the cards. Partner is something that, if in retrospect, could have been fine, but it cannot be fine going forward without a ton of bans.
Yeah.
You need the cards when you make a partner card. It has to be half a card,
right?
Maybe even worse.
Yeah,
than
because
half a card.
Otherwise, you're just making it better every time. Better. Commander isn't all about percentage points, but it's kind of a weird feeling when it's like, well, why would I play 1 legendary creature when I can just have 2? And it's like, well, if they're both half a card, that kind of amounts to the similar power level of 1. But there's a lot of problems with Partner.
I think there's a lot of great designs in the Partner. You get to see things. I think Bruce Tarl, absolutely perfect as a commander. The other red-white one, Akiri Lineslinger. And that's just 2 of them, but there's a bunch of them that work really well. But then you have your Kodamas, your Timnas, your Thrasios,
even Malcolm,
your Quarks,
yep.
Dargo, and it's just, these cards are the problem. They put it on far too good of creatures already, and they continue to keep doing it. They literally did it with like 3 or 4 different creatures just in Commander Legends, and that really highlights the issue with Partner, is that it's too hard to. It seems like it's too hard to design for. The cards have to be incredibly weak, and then when they're weak, no one wants to play them. So Partner's just going to get pooped from me.
And the 2-color Partners, what a disaster that was. I mean, they didn't. I don't think they got. No, I'm not even like mad at them, but I don't think they got a single thing right. You can't. Just it makes every color combination just trivial. Every deck can just splash whatever with whatever, and because the cards are so like lackluster, it's not even like super this evocative fun experience. It's just like, oh, my 1/3 for 2 does a bunch of stuff because it's half a card, but not really. It's better than most cards. So I was just gonna put it right in poop. You said?
Yeah, absolute poop. I think it's the worst. It might be worse than Eminence with how bad it affects the format. Like obviously, Eminence is less controversial, but Partner the way it was done and the way it was executed has made Commander a worse format in my opinion.
I did warp it forever. Undeniably.
Undeniably, and I think it's in a negative way.
It's kind of like, well, what's Commander? Well, you pick a legendary creature to build your deck around, and it's like, how many times do you have to mess with that sentence where it's like, well, you don't have to cast it. Well, why don't you just have 2 of them? Why don't I just have 7 commanders? I don't know.
See, and like we said, they executed the having 2 of them thing perfectly later. They just made the mistake of doing Partner first.
Okay, Proliferate, best friend of Infect, but also +1 counters, loyalty counters. Proliferate just means add another counter to anything with a counter on it already.
Yeah, this is another one of those C's where it's like, this isn't, I don't think this makes Commander worse. I don't think this makes Commander better, but it's a well-designed mechanic that I am fine seeing as much of. C, it's just there.
Yeah, I like Proliferate. It's its own thing. I think, the cards with Proliferate are always really interesting, and I don't think you could really make too many of them. It's not going to be busted at a certain point. Even I don't think Doubling Season is busted, and that's like the ultimate counters card, but I think we can keep doing Proliferate. No problem.
Yeah, not a problem at all. What's the next one?
It's Regenerate. Man, Does design factor into this? It does, right?
Yeah, we've been talking about design a lot.
Yeah, when you regenerate something, you put a shield around it that says the next time it would die. Instead, you tap it and remove it from combat, and then it doesn't die. So you can like regenerate something 3 times, and then if they let them all resolve, they'd have to kill it 4 times. Or in combat, if your creature has any abilities, then you have to factor in how that's going to do it, but then it taps and removes itself from combat. But it doesn't remove itself from combat after it deals damage if the damage is what would kill it, and I'm already sick of talking about it.
So something hilarious about that is even that, where you explain a lot of it, you've also got some things wrong. It's not when it dies, because if it dies from, say, -3/-3 to a 3/3...
But of course.
Regenerate doesn't work. It's way too confusing, and it's not well made. Indestructible is simple.
Right.
It can't be destroyed by damage or effects that say destroy.
That's it.
Boom!
That's all
You're done with it. Regenerate, butt soup. But they don't make it anymore. I mean, we just put it on here because we wanted to make fun of how stupid it was. Poop, soup.
Get out of here, Regenerate. It's not even good. I don't think there's a single good commander card from the top of my head with Regenerate. I was looking and that's why I put Thrun here. I'm like, oh, is Thrun the best Regenerate card?
I think one of the most interesting one is the, like, where you give a creature Regenerate, then if it regenerates that way, you gain control of it.
Yeah, super weird. I guess I was talking about creatures.
Yeah, that's completely
It's like Will-o'-the-Wisp with blocks.
There's very few that are good.
Yeah, let's go to Scry. Every deck Scries. Scry used to be part of the Mulligan rule because it was so prolific in like Evergreen. Temple's Scry. Every deck might have a card that scries. You don't even know. It's like hard to check because it's just everywhere. It's smooths your draws, makes cards easier. You look at the top X, where X is the scry number, and you put that many on top or bottom in any order.
Yeah, I think this is another B. Just like it reminds me of cycling, where it lets you play more Magic because you get to fix your draws and help you get more the cards you want to be playing. You can throw this on a ton of different cards, and no one's gonna be mad. It's like, obviously, I don't want all my cards to have scry, but if half my cards have scry, then we're gonna play more Magic, and we're gonna draw more of the cards we want to draw.
I used to hate in Theros when they would just make every spell cost 1 more mana and put scry on it. I was like, come on, stop it. But they got some cool designs going now.
Here's Lightning Strike, but it has scry.
And it costs more mana. Whoa! Okay, let's go to Trample. Your creatures assign additional combat damage to the opponent equal to the difference between their power and whatever blocked its toughness. So like if a 5/5 tramples over a 2/2, it'll be 3 extra damage to the face of the person.
Interestingly enough, I think this is actually a really, really good mechanic. That's one of the best mechanics ever made. Mm-hmm. Incredibly well designed, and I think it's an A. Now, this is an evergreen mechanic that's been around forever, and people are going to be like, what, A? Yeah, it matters. It matters a lot, and it really, again, it advances board states. If you have a 12/12, you're going to hold it back on defense all the time if they have a bunch of 1/1s.
There's no point.
Oh, if you have a 12/12 with Trample, you're going to send it and get in the red zone with it all the time. It advances games so much, and it lets you, the tricks that give Trample, oh, I loved seeing it out of nowhere. Like, sometimes they get in with like a 7/7, you're like, just chump it. Boom! Double strike, Trample, boom, boom, boom!
Embercleave's one of the big ones for that. It's just like, here's 50 more damage. But I think...
I got completely wiped off the face of the earth the other day by an Embercleave. Muxus came at me, I'm like, yeah, I'll block it.
Have to block it.
Embercleave, I'll die to commander damage, I mean.
Take 0, you mean 26?
Yeah,
okay.
He crushed me.
One of the things about Trample is like when you're trying to go wide and actually end the game, if you're playing like these overrun effects and they don't give Trample, it's garbage.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing that actually makes overrun like this slam dunk win con, not overrun, but like Crater of Behemoth, the Trample is like half of it. You get a bunch of damage, that's great. If you go wide enough, you can kill anybody, but you got to go, if we're going tall, we need Trample or it's worthless.
You know, you might have just fixed Crater by accident.
Just remove Trample.
If you remove Trample from Crater, that card is so much fairer.
Probably still commander playable.
It's probably, it still might even be one of the best win conditions.
But it's not game over every time with 10 creatures.
But it's like, if I add a Trample effect, now it is. But it's like, it's not before. Yeah, you might have. You fixed Crater piece by accident.
If you've ever played with it, it's one of the cards that's so good that you don't even have to do math. You're like, all right, well, even if you start trying, you're like, okay, I have, let's see, 10 creatures. That's 100. Oh. All right, and then they all get their usual stats, and Crater Hoofs counts too. It's just like, okay, not even real. So yeah, Trample is a great mechanic, helps end games and make combat matter more. Last one, Vigilance. Doesn't tap when attacking. How about that? A lot of people are think that Vigilance is super important in a commander. I don't think it's really one way or the other. It's not a mechanic that I'm even looking for at all. I personally just don't really care that I'm able to block. I can manage it on my own.
It's perfectly encapsulated in the C tier, where it's
bottom
not
of
ever
C
going to
tier.
make a game worse. It's not ever going to make a game better, but it's just going to be there and do its thing and exist. Sun Titan is a lot better because Sun Titan has an attack trigger and it has Vigilance. So Sun Titan is like the card that like shows off the strength of Vigilance.
Yeah.
But overall, it's just like, whatever, it exists. It's not going to make I'm certainly never going to be upset when something doesn't tap when attacking.
Yeah, so if you got the high power, where Vigilance couldn't matter less, who cares? The middle of the road is like, I'm still not really seeing any benefits, but when you get to the Commander Legends draft level, where like decks are pretty rough, they're playing vanilla creatures, Vigilance is actually sweet because you really need to leverage who you're attacking, and if you have defense, a lot of times in Commander Legends, some of the biggest points of tension were I can kill somebody, but then I die because I can't block anything.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is all of these tier lists. So let's get big again, BZ. Yeah, get the computer out of the way. All right, we're big again. And that is our video. Special shout outs to every single one of our patrons. Love you as much as we can without making you uncomfortable. Your direct support allows this channel to continue making daily content. A little announcement for the end of this video here. Monday through Friday is now always, for the foreseeable future, going to be full-length content for you guys. We have our calendar. We're planning days out ahead of time. Watch out. The Nitpicking Nerds, we're coming for the top title of best.
We're the number one contender.
Number one contender for some sort of title.
For some kind of YouTube-related thing. So unless something goes horribly awry, there'll be a short. But normally, everything is full-length now, except for the weekends, which are shorts.
Weekends are shorts because those are the days that we take to relax, play Commander.
Count our money.
Yeah, we're so rich. We're like, $1, $2,
$3.
and then we're like, I wish I had more.
No, then we go and spend it on McDonald's.
Yep. I forgot we do spend.
Then
on
we say, I
McDonald's.
wish I had any.
None
of that is even that accurate.
And it's a little. Well, a lot of it is very accurate. Other than we just don't have $2.
We fudged the numbers for you. We made it simpler than what they actually are. So, if you want to support us, there's two other ways. My God, TCG Player. Go to the link in the description, and then when you check out through the link, if you start with the link, we get a kickback on the order. It's like throwing a little tip in the tip jar, except it's not your money. You're throwing somebody else's money into a tip jar, and I would do that a lot more often if I could.
The same thing. I mean, it's you buy the cards you wanted to buy anyway at the same price you were going to get them. Use the website you wanted to use anyway, because honestly, TCG Player is an amazing website for buying MTG cards, Magic cards as they're called usually.
They're so good that they're getting copied as of recently.
Yeah, exactly. So MTG cards, get them off the website and support us using our link. Same thing is true for Dragon Shield. There is a US and an EU link in the description below. You go there, you buy the best sleeves in the multiverse.
Good sleeves.
Apparently we're doing ASMR now.
I wonder what
and
that
then
sounds like.
you get it to your house. Actually, they just came up with really cool deck boxes, and they sent us like 4 of them. They're basically, they hold the decks and you put them in the
double shell. I think is what they're called.
shells. Yeah, they're hard shells. I'll put a picture of it on screen.
Yeah.
But yeah, it opens up. It's actually like a little dragon mouth.
A butterfly, like the most majestic thing you've ever seen.
I really do like them a lot, and I got more of them because I want them, and you put them in the deck boxes. Oh man, I feel like I'm so much more organized. Dragon Shield is helping me out with all the awesome products they have.
Thanks, Dragon Shield. We have a tidbit about our lives.
No, we have to do a shout outs for a couple of patrons. So the first of these personalized shout outs goes to Jacob Lambert. Nice last name. There's a guy named Adam Lambert.
And what about Bigger Bears RVA? That probably means something, and if it does, super cool on you.
Rear view attraction. There's also Isaiah Smith, or Isaac Smith. I pronounce every name correctly every single time. Isaac Smith, thank you for the support. I do like the name Isaac also, just like I liked something in the last video that I forgot.
Yeah, we have a 1,000 patron goal of teaching Joe how to read.
Yeah, one day I'll get there, guys. Who's next?
Ryan Sandberg, probably not related to Andy Sandberg.
No, he is. He actually messaged me and said, the only thing he said was, I'm related to Andy Sandberg. Tell Beezy so he doesn't mess this up.
Well, you should have told me that then.
Yeah, I really should have.
What the heck? You're making me look stupid.
To be fair, if you check the messages once in a while, you'd see it. Yeah, next we got Philly Piper. I'm going to guess he's from Philly, but I'm not sure.
I'm going to guess his profession. Piper.
Yeah.
He lays piping.
He's like the Pied Piper. Just like the Pied Piper, actually.
Next is Jack Tup, which I'm just assuming is like a pun, because it's like he's jacked up.
Oh, yeah, Jack Tup. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's like a receptionist prank name.
Yeah, and then we have Don't Respawn, so Yeah,
Solid advice for any Call of Duty player.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, next time you die in Call of Duty, don't respawn. Just stop playing. I think that's a good idea.
I think it's also the status of every human being in real life. You just don't respond.
You never respawn.
It's like an optional...
Or we do, and that's even cooler.
It's an alternative to YOLO. Don't respond. Immortan is the next one. Clearly just a misspelling of the word immortal. This is your PSA to fix it.
Yeah, and we also have Ludwig Kingsfors. Ludwig, a good name. We're getting some good names. Like, I'm getting some names where I'm like, I like that name. Ludwig? It rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, we got Ludwig von Beethoven is a good one.
And Ludwig
von Koopa.
Ludwig von Koopa, and we also have Ludwig the Streamer.
Oh, yeah.
Who's very, very popular.
Those are the three most popular ones, I think.
Yeah, who's your favorite Ludwig? Let us know in the comments below.
But not those top three. Next, Dak. Thanks, Dak.
Yeah.
Maybe our shout-out should be as short as your name.
So this month we have another giveaway, and we didn't do last month, so we're going to do two, and we're going to do it the same way. For the giveaway this month, we're giving away Academy Ruins, which is, the full art foil one from Duel Masters. BZ, what do you got over there?
It's Kali of the Vast from the same set in the same condition. How about that? If you would like to get your hands on these cards, I think you should submit which card of the two you want to our mod. And who is our mod, and how do they reach them?
They can reach Dadbot by going to our Discord and messaging him directly. He is going to be the one who decides who gets these. He gets to decide however he sees fit. So send him a message, talk to him, and if he takes them both for himself, we will tell you about how greedy he is in the next video.
That'll be really weird. So just sweet talk him, but you can only pick one, okay? You're not getting both.
Yeah, you can only, whoever, he's going to pick two people because one will get one and one will get the other. He's going to hate us because I haven't told him about this yet.
Yeah, this is our surprise giveaway Ruin Mods Day announcement.
Dadbot, we love you, but you got to give these cards away. Peace out, Tribe Scouts.